Natural looking brow makeover. I've got nothing on my brows right now because I want to show you the difference that this brow technique makes. Not to give you really kind of heavy looking brows, because this tutorial isn't about getting really heavy, overly perfect brows. This brow tutorial is all about creating a natural look brow. So they look like your brows, just slightly more perfected. I'm going to start with doing one brow first so you can see just how much more lifted and framed it makes this eye look. Are you ready? Let's get started. The best tip I can give you when it comes to creating a really natural looking brow is to choose a brow pencil that has a really fine tip, such as this one that I use daily. It's by a company called Senna and I love it so much. I actually bought it in to share with you on Beauty in the Boutique. So you can see here it's got a really micro fine tip on it, and what this does, it helps you create and mimic the hairs. So you're actually drawing on individual hairs, a bit like microblading if you like. It creates really fine hairs that just make the brows look really natural. Now in terms of colour, essentially if you want your brows to look like your brows, go for a similar colour as possible to your own natural brow colour. If you like your brows to look slightly more defined, in the sense of you want them to look more noticeable, then go half a shade to one shade darker. Let's get started with me showing you how to create a really good shape. Now you can use the techniques I'm going to share with you with any pencil. It's just this one for me makes it easier, but you can go ahead and do this with any pencil that you currently already own. I have very thin brows, but whether you've got thin or thick brows, this next tip is really going to help you get your brows into shape before you even reach for your brow pencil. And what you're going to need to do this is a brow brush. If you do not have a brow brush at home, you can use an old mascara wand. Just give it a good clean, make sure all the mascara is off it. Or you could even use an old toothbrush, just make sure it's clean. But ideally an old mascara wand is going to work best. With the pencil that I have, this comes with a little brow brush on the end, which is really handy. So first thing we're going to do is look at my brows. They're not brushed, they're very thin and spindly, but I'm going to attempt to give them slightly more shape. So you're going to, first of all, brush all your brows upwards. I'm just going to do this brow because then you can see the difference it makes. So get the brush, brush them all upwards. You'll have some brow hairs that are quite long. Do not worry. Just keep brushing them upwards. Then I want you to find the arch of your brow, which if you hold your pencil, it's going to be, hold your pencil from the corner of your nose through the middle of your pupil. That tells you where your arch should be. So my arch is there. So from here, I'm going to brush the brow hair downwards because I want from here to the arch to look bushy, as bushy as I can make it with the brows that I have. But from here, I want the tail of the brow to look quite smooth. So that just hopefully emphasizes the shape. The next tip I'm going to share with you is all about how to give your brow more structure. Now, often you will find that our brows are very sparse at the very base of the brow. So if we can enhance that structure, it will make the brows not only have a better shape, but also just look a little bit more fuller and more defined. So let me get my mirror and my pencil and let me show you how I do this. It's so easy. So you're going to take the pencil and with your pinky finger, you're going to rest your finger on your cheekbone because this helps stabilize your hand. And you're just going to draw a very light, when I say light, I mean like a delicate, light-handed line from your inner brow here just along to the arch. And you're going to do this very lightly. Now, to make it easier, you can draw it in delicate feathered strokes. And I will start to build up the intensity of that line depending on how defined I want this line to be. Now, you might want to apply less, and if you're new to applying brow pencil, then I would suggest doing less first of all, so you can really get used to using a pencil on your brows. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we've defined the line here. Now we're going to go from the arch and we're going to follow the arch along. So I've actually taken my pencil now and I'm going more into the hairs and I'm following the shape down. I'm creating real structure here, and then when I'm getting to the arch, I'm going into the hair more, into the tail, and what this is doing, it's creating more of a lifted look. Can you see the difference between this brow and this brow? Now, I know this doesn't look completely natural yet, but stay tuned because I'm going to teach you all the ways you can make this look like your own brow hair. The next tip I'm going to show you is about how to make your brows not just look like they're coloured in, but actually like your brows, it's their own hair, only a bit more fuller and a bit more defined. And to do that, this is why a micro thin pencil is so important, because this is where we can really mimic the brow hairs. So now we're going to go back to the inner part of our brow and we're going to delicately start drawing the hairs into the hairs that already exist. Does that make sense? So you're kind of like filling in any gaps. Now, my top tip here is to go much more lighter with your pressure on the inner part of your brow here, and you can go slightly heavier from around just before the arch of the brow and to the tail. So delicately, again, I've got my pinky finger as my stabilizer, and you'll see they're short feathered strokes, and I'm just drawing them in to the brow. I'm going from the base, from the line that I created, and I'm going upwards. When I get to around just before the arch, I'm going to go slightly more heavy-handed because I want to get the arch to look more defined than this area here. So if I make this arch look more defined from here to the tail, my arch is going to look higher, and that's what's going to give the lifting effect to my eyebrow. Now, to further intensify my arch, I'm now going to draw along the shape of my arch. Now, you want to keep it looking natural. You don't want it to look like two different shades. So if you find that that's happening, just slightly blend in some more, hairs around towards the front of your brow here. Then with your brow brush, you're simply going to delicately brush the hairs up like you did before, and then from the arch, brush them downwards. The great thing about using a brow pencil is that you can stop, assess your brows and think, do they need a little bit more? If they need a little bit less, then just keep brushing them through, and that will help distribute the colour and, blend some of that colour away. Now, if you've plucked too much of your brow in the past, right at the start of your brow, then what you can do is take your pencil and hold it from the corner of your nostril in one vertical line, and you will see where your brow should start, and it should start where the pencil starts here. So I know I could fill in a little bit more brow hairs there. So you don't have to do this, I'm just showing you what you could do. So I'm going to take my pencil and just delicately draw in just a few more brows. Now remember, our brows aren't perfectly dead straight. So don't draw in perfectly dead straight hairs here. You kind of want them to look a bit kind of mismatchy. Not mismatchy, but not overly perfect. Okay, so essentially that's my brow done. But to help keep this in place, I will get a brow gel in clear just to set the shape. So if you don't have this at home, you could use a clear mascara, for example, or you could, with another clean old mascara wand, you could spray a little bit of hairspray on that wand and then just comb it through. That's another great tip for you. So let's just put this brow gel. Now, this brow gel comes as a duo with this pencil. I've chosen the two to work perfectly together. So if you do want to see what I'm using, you can see that on beautyintheboutique.com. I'm going to again just start off by brushing at the front of the brow. You want to get all that hair to really stand as much up as it can. And then with the tip of your spoolie, you're just going to push them down, paying attention that they're all quite nice and smooth at the tail end there. If you really want to emphasize your brow arch, then my tip to you is to use a highlighter just on the brow bone here. I tap it just from my arch along the tail here on my actual brow. Tap it on, and then with a clean finger, I just blend it in. So you've applied it with your pinky finger and then you blend it with another finger like that. And it just gives a subtle highlight to that brow bone. And hopefully as you move, the light hits your brow bone and gives it that extra lift. I hope these tips help you to create a really natural brow look. And I shall see you soon for some more tips. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.